What's good, YouTube? Steel here, and in today's video we'll be taking on the challenge of the expert solo battle of Infernape EX with both a deck that has 3 diamonds or less as well as the opposite type, so you could beat both challenges with just one deck. Full transparency, this is one of the lists that took me a little longer to figure out how to do both with just one list and at one time. I do think it's important to look at the list we're going against before we just break down the list that we're using to kind of explain why we doing certain choices. The 3 main points from this list is, number 1, we can't avoid the type weakness that the way we could with the Mega event, because you would just use like Coughing and Scolipede and you don't have to worry about the grass typing. Here, however, any grass you use will be weak to this to the fire line, so keep that in mind when we're building our deck or when we're using our deck. We have to keep in mind that every attack they use will have a 20 attack buffer. There is the I guess the bright side is that they don't have access to Blaine or Geo. And without Blaine or Geo, at least we know, granted, all their attacks will be 20 more, like Flare is 40, Fireman is 60, Scratch, like so on and so forth. They're hitting like 20 more than what they're doing, but that's the cap. At no point are they going to do more than what they're showing on board, which is important to keep track of, like when to Erica or when you could take a hit or when you have to swap something out. Granted, speaking of swapping out, the third point I wanted to make, the fact that in other challenges we've been able to like dodge the Cyrus. In this one, it's a little harder to dodge, because if they put Rocky Helmet and you attack and then you start swapping around to not like lose your Pokemon, at times you might feel it more like successful to just leave a Pokemon there until it falls, because if you start switching around, they will start playing around with what they want to knock out, and you could sometimes use it for your advantage, but most of the time it will just end up worse for you. With that said, I think we're ready to break down that actual deck that we'll be using. So when looking at this list, you might be surprised by who came up to play. Granted, I know it seems kind of like far-fetched or kind of crazy. When making this list, I knew 2 things for certain. Was that I wanted/needed Execute in it. Like, Exeggutor is, although it's not the EX version, is one of the most aggressive cards in the game. If you go first, you're able to evolve into Exeggutor and potentially knock out their Chimchar or Ponyta starter before they are even able to do anything. Granted, you do need luck on your side for that, but usually the aggression in itself, along with the 130 HP, builds up enough time and aggression where sometimes you just win outright with the Exeggutor. And when it comes to why Turtwig, it's because Torterra is the one Pokemon, like alongside, like if they go Infernape and you start tagging it with Exeggutor before they build it up and knock you out, Torterra is the one thing that can knock it out once you deal damage, if that makes sense. So although on paper it might seem a little like trolly, trust me, this deck works. I will have gameplay so you can see it in action. As far as supporters go, Erica heals, Leaf lets you move around your pieces as need be. Like sometimes you have your Torterra built up and you just gotta move something out of there, or you start Turtwig and you get them out for an execute. Like the Leaf, the moving, although it's bad against Cyrus, sometimes you don't even take the damage. You just have to move, so like you put something else in the way of like in the line of fire. Because like say if you go second, their Monferno will be able to knock out Execute if you start with it. So those are games where you might want to have Turtwig in the front, and Leaf lets you like choose what you have in the front basically. And then obviously Pokeball and Pokemon Communication is some of the most consistent cards. Well, Pokeball and Research are in every deck, and then Pokemon Communication, especially when we need Exeggutor or the line of the Torterra that we're looking for, it's the best way to like increase consistency or the chances of seeing the cards we need. How's it going, guys? Steel of the Future here. I just wanted to jump back in real quick because the video was already exported. The deck list actually works, right? It does get you there. But as I kept testing, because I was like not 100% convinced on the list, so I kept grinding, and basically I came to the conclusion that an additional way of like guaranteeing the W, or I guess cutting the edges or finding a different way of victory, is finding a space for the tool cards. Whether it's cutting down a Pokemon Communication or a Leaf, you could try Rocky Helmet. Rocky Helmet makes it so when Infernape is like tearing up the front line and you're building up Torterra, it will be in range for Torterra just to one-shot it, and you basically win the game past that. The second option is also the Giant Cape. Although it's not as effective, it does make it where Torterra doesn't get one-shot by Infernape. So that either gives you an extra turn to build up Torterra or an extra turn to swing again. Regardless, both of these work very well as like an additional way to win this challenge. The deck list that I did provide does win the challenge, as you'll see in the gameplay. I just wanted to throw in these just in case you're having a tough time with this list. There is ways to improve or like change the variance a bit, and the best card I can recommend is Rocky Helmet, outside of just playing it like this, which granted I fully believe in, and it does work, as this is how I was able to beat the challenge. But there's a little less workaround when you just cheat damage with the Rocky Helmet. Take it away past me. regardless, the best way to prove that this deck is valid for what I want it, like for this challenge as a whole, is to put it in action. And I hope you guys enjoy the games. Quick disclaimer before the gameplay, I wanted to mention this Turtwig, really nice, came from the promo pack. You cannot use it in this mission or it will not count towards your 3 diamonds or less. Just wanted to mention that promos don't count towards 3 diamonds or less. They're their own rarity, sort of like an upper rarity that doesn't count when you're doing these low rarity challenges. Well, enjoy the games. All right, going first. Ideally, we see the egg here, which we don't, but we do have leaf. Let's see. All right, Torterras don't really help us. This guarantees the egg, by the way. We're only playing 4 basics. If we drop Pokemon Communication, we'll just send one of the Torterras away. The ideal draw would be the Exeggutor. Let's see here. There you go. And then we're a high roll from basically starting to take over the game. Come on, get heads here. Unlucky. So yeah, there's, even when things go right for you, they could go wrong. And this is one of the tougher challenges. I'm gonna be honest. But again, it's gonna take maybe a few tries, but once you get it, like, it's hands like this that let you get there. You see, like, there we got this knockout guaranteed. The ideal draw here would be, I guess we could look for Grotto. An Erica to heal and last a little longer, but there's the Grotto. And we're not getting the point list, but it is what it is. We got our first point, and then yeah, if they have Infernape, it gets really ugly, but it becomes, we're building up Torterra from now on. Yeah, the perfect idea would have been getting heads on the first one, on the Ponytail, and then being able to follow it up. Alright, there's another Grotto, which we could place as a wall. The good thing, if he decides to Infernape the Grotto in the front, we do get to Torterra twice before he gets the... Here's where we have to like be smart about it, and what I mean by that is that if we go to Torterra and swing, he goes to 120, takes him out of the way, and then he just builds it up again while he knocks us out. So we'll just quickly hit him for 60 and just pass turn there. We could have put the energy down. That's on me. I was just playing too quick. Doesn't change the outcome. You see, he used the turn to, it was either he stays building up the Infernape, or he starts building it up like that. Like, again, we're not playing against like actual players. Like, an actual player might have like used the free retreat on Infernape and then start building Infernape just to knock us out after. Remember, the CPU isn't thinking that way. So yeah, Torterra, as good as Torterra is for this challenge, like, it does hit right under Infernape. So there's a reason why we're building it up the way we do. Like, you don't just blindly go up to Torterra. You have to like hold it until the time's right, like right here. And that includes that we missed on 2 point flips with Exeggutor. It's very doable. But regardless, I'll always give another example, at least 2. So on to the next one. Alright, we go first. So all we hope is for the excuse me, the egg. Of course, we don't start with it, but it is what it is. This would have knocked out the egg, honestly. So luckily, I guess we didn't start with it. Ideally, we would have had the egg though to put in the bench, or some way of getting it there. But it's all good for now. We just hopefully see it now. Okay, this is a 67% chance that we see it. There it is. We'll go Erica here so that it survives the turn. And we'll start building it up as well. We won't evolve into Grotto yet, because Leaf won't do like the clean retreat at that point. The Rocky Helmet's annoying, but it's not like game ending. Alright, we have a full line there, that's important. Let's go Leaf. Evolve into Grotto here. The Tails here is unfortunate, but we're still at a chance of like knocking it out next turn, as long as we hit heads. They also have access to the Cyrus play if they drew it, which is unfortunate for us if it happens, but we got lucky here. Alright, Pokemon communication we don't really need. If we want to play around Cyrus, we would Erica here, but I think the Exeggutor, because there's the option for Torterra, but like we saw in the first game, sometimes holding the Grotto is really important. I think here's worth it because of the Cyrus play. We're playing around Cyrus, and they still haven't seen Monferno. And this is to play around Rapidash. And ideally, we get a heads here. It's all good, it's all good. Coping, maximum coping, but it's okay. What else is there to do here? Interesting decision by them to do it that way, I guess. Okay, the egg is also really important here, for reasons that hopefully you get to see. If this gets if we'll be able to see if this gets a heads finally. Okay, there you go. We got our first point. They could knock us out with Heatmore, but they also have the option to do it with Monferno slash if they evolve into Infernape, which is what we're hoping for. Yeah, there it is. And this is where you're going to see the importance of the Exeggutor in the back. Alright. What happens now with the Infernape is that if it stays on board, the Torterra clearly knocks it out, which is like the idea. You see? Right there. Again, I have to stress that we are playing against an AI, a bot, a CPU. They're not thinking the same way a regular player would. And you have to take that into account when you're trying to beat these missions. And I don't want to say it's that simple, because honestly, it will take quite a few retries to get both missions done at once. Because if they draw well, or if you just draw or flip on, like we almost lost because the Exeggutor missed on like a coin flip, on 2 coin flips. Luckily, it was able to get the Ponytail one. As you saw in the games, it was quite possible, as well as like very doable to beat this challenge with this list, as there's some things that need to go right for you, but also there's things that need to go really right for them in order to beat you. Also, you have to keep in mind that it is a robot that you're going against. It's not a person that's playing the most efficient, so they're not gonna like use Infernape and then back it out, build it up again to use it again. Like they will leave them out there as long as you don't threaten like lethal off rip. Like if you slowly chip at it with like the execute, you have to throw a lot of bodies at this deck basically. But the ideal start is going first with the execute. And granted, if they don't start Hemor, right? Like that's why you have the leaf. Like there's different ways of going about it, and I promise you, this is the most efficient way of doing the challenge with like the cards that are in the current, I guess, card pool. Another option, if you just want to do them separately, is clearly like using like a Blaine deck or something on the, or your favorite low rarity deck, and then a grass deck that's good as any like Young Mega deck. Although a pure Young Mega deck like Exeggutor deck, like Celebi, like those decks clearly have a good chance to win events like this. But when it comes to low rarity and being able to complete this mission with the opposite type, this is like the best thing that I could come up with. If you guys have your own suggestions on other ways to do it, or anything that I could switch around, maybe like some of the trainer cards or the lethal. I honestly feel really good with the Torterra build, especially since you don't always have to go straight into Torterra. You could use Grotto, Poke, like you have enough HP to take a few hits before you commit to anything. I hope you're able to beat this challenge and that this video helped you at all. If anything, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing, and above all else, stay pro.